Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is put a cage in this Mustang. So, in between other programs, I'm gonna make the hoop for the front. It's not the main hoop, it's the front hoop. Normally there isn't a front hoop, but this is a little bit different design roll cage than I've done before. Okay, so I got the main hoop's been in there for a while, but there's another hoop here. It goes, under the dash. A little bit unconventional, but so what I did was, I don't know if you can see it good here, but this goes up straight and then it kind of curves that way. The reason I did that was I need to be able to weld around the floor plates, and I want my floor plates to come over and then go up the side of the pillar so I can weld into more structure instead of just the floor. I can weld into the pillar. But I want the A-pillars to come in, the A-pillar cage to come in here. So I wanted this to be over as far as possible. So this is very close to the inside of the kick panel. And this has a little bit of room over here, so it kicks in like 1/2 of an inch. So I'll have some welding room. So that's why I did it. It's a little bit more challenging to bend, but whatever. If you're gonna do something, might as well do it right. So, I think this is right. So, anyway, I'll still probably have to cut a hole in this kick panel here to weld. I don't think there's any way I can get this welded to the A-pillar and still get it in there. So that's why I think I'm gonna have to cut a hole in there, which is fine. It's like putting a roll cage in the car the proper way is like kind of building a ship in a bottle. So yeah, one more step forward until I figure out a new problem, and then we'll step back one, and then keep doing that. Like itsy bitsy spider, something. So I whittled up some plates, some floor plates. Typically these need to be 6 inches square, about 1/8 inch by most sanctioning bodies, but I made them a little bit bigger than that, and I tied them into the sills. So I'll weld into the sills. Show you how those fit in there. So they're gonna go up there like that. And now that we have some light on the subject, you can see how that little cutout is designed to go into that structure that's already there. And that's just an approximate number on where that little green. So this is 52 inches. This is my 0. This is the rear sill plate, and this is my fore aft 0. I had to pick something, so that's it. So I just measured with this yo-yo 52 inches up to yonder, and then the width of my roll cage at the foot is right there. If I did it right, that doesn't look right. Good thing I checked that. It's supposed to be 1.6 inches, and I made the mark at 2.6, so yeah, that's wrong. Thank you for notifying me of that, but yeah, that's 1 inch too far over. So, and the only reason I have it that far over is because what I want to do is I want to put a piece inside of here that'll drop through the hole and then get welded to the bottom half. So here's my cartoon. It's in CAD as well, but this is where I worked it all out. So basically I'm going to take this plate and I'm going to weld the pipe to the bottom of it. I'll drill a hole at 52 inches from 0 through this at an angle, through the floor, and through this sill plate. And then, well, here, it's all laid out how I'm going to do it. Drill hole in floor, roll tube on the bottom of the plate, drop plate through, weld plate to floor. So this piece and this piece will be welded to the floor, and then I could weld this bottom here. So that'll be like nice tied in structure. And then the A hoop, which is this guy, kind of like knee pillar, but a hoop, door bar, and main hoop. So that'll be like a 3D structure. And I'll tack that together and make sure it fits in and out of there before I like really weld it. But I can weld that all outside the car, right? So that'll be the door bars coming into here, and then the door bar is going into, actually it goes into the harness bar. So I'll have to put the harness bar in here first, and then the door bar welds into that, and then I can kind of tip this and boop down, and then it'll sit on the floor just like it's supposed to. And then I have enough room in here so I can get around it and weld it. I think I could even TIG it. There's enough room in there to TIG weld that, I think, especially if it's on a rotisserie, so I can, rotate it. So that is that one. Weld to everything. So anyway, that's the plan. Now I just have to move this hole over an inch because I foobarred that. The only person I ever knew that didn't screw anything up. Yeah, that guy never did anything. So I'll move that over an inch, and then that'll pop out under here somewhere about where that dot is. And then that'll get welded in. And then I'll have something similar to back here where it's all, it's tied in, not just to floor. It's a little bit crazy that sanctioning bodies let you pretty much put this plate like on the floor right there, where there's just 20 gauge sheet metal holding it. Like, sure, that's strong, but not as strong as what I'm doing. So in a pinch it'll probably save your ass, but it isn't going to stiffen the chassis up like I want. So anyway, that's the plan. Okay, so I drilled a hole right here on the mark. This is where the magic starts to happen, hopefully. So I'm just going to take a Phillips screwdriver with a 1/4 inch shank, jam that in the hole, and then I'm just going to kind of force that into being a vertical hole. Because everything's a spring. And now, that hole is kind of vertical. And that's all going to disappear because I'm going to, make a hole in there, so it doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is transfer a hole to the bottom by using this as the kind of the pilot and holding that vertical perpendicular to the earth and whatnot. So now I'm going to get a longer drill bit, 1/4 inch drill bit, and put it on the drill and drill a hole through the bottom here. And then that will be my pilot. And then the old screwdriver on a hole saw trick, you will see how useful that is. Phillips screwdriver, 1/4 inch shank. And then once this has a hole going all the way through, I will make it stick through from the bottom. And then instead of having a drill bit in this guy, I will take the drill bit out and put the shank in there. So now this will have the pilot here and here, and I'll be able to drill a perpendicular little hole, and those two will be well and truly aligned. So every once in a while, your hole saw is not long enough to make that work. So sometimes you got to get creative and take a hole saw and saw it in half, and then weld a piece of pipe in there. And then now you can drill that full depth. Instead of only that depth, you can drill that depth. Because sometimes when you're going on a small angle, you don't have enough depth to get through it. So that's a little trick you can use. It doesn't take any kind of genius. Spark weld it back together. It's going to be crooked anyway. It's a hole saw, but it's one of my cheat methods. So a little bit more work on this thing. Kind of cleaned this floor area up. I still got to get in there with a wire brush and some weld through primer, but kind of cleaned the hole up with that guy. And then I'll cut these pipes out. So basically, that's going to go in there kind of like that. It's on the wrong angle because this is like at 50 degrees and my chop saw only goes to 45. So this is going to sit after I cut it to the right angle. This is going to get welded on the back side here. That there. And then it'll just drop in. And then this goes in there like that there. And then I'll have to, after I get this welded, I'll have to hit this, heat this up and kind of bend it into the shape of the floor, because the floor kind of has this, I don't know what you call it, but it's different than the other side. The other side's just flat. So we'll have to do something about this. This is kind of like a dead pedal, except for useless, because there's a switch here. Ordinarily there's a high beam switch right there. So it's not really a dead pedal, because then you keep switching your high beams, but we'll make it into a dead pedal. But as you can see, I got enough room in here in between the A pillar or the A roll hoop, so I can get in there and weld. So this is what we got. It's kind of mocked up in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but that 2x4 is just holding it in place, kinda. But it's sort of centered. It's front to back. It's correct height. So that's approximately within a quarter of an inch of where it's going to go. So looks like it's going to clear the steering column beautifully. And then I'll be able to hang my pedals off of that. That'll be my pedal box mounted to that guy there. So I'll probably weld some brackets on that prior to, final assembly. But it's all coming together, I think. I'm going to have to quit procrastinating here and actually start welding some shit together. But I got to get all this rust cleaned off of here first. Gotta maybe put some rust dissolver stuff on there. Kind of get that cleaned up, at least in that area. I still plan on sandblasting the entire chassis, but I want to get the chassis structure kind of fixed first, so then I can put it on the rotisserie and, flip it, flop it, sandblast it, flip it, flop it, sandblast it. We got to treat some rusty metal before we do any painting on it. So this is some OSPO, which is a very toxic acid. Read the back label. But basically, and I used this on the Bronco a while back, if you have some metal that's like just got surface rust on it and it's like pitted and it's really hard to get it completely off of there with a wire brush, you just brush this stuff on there, just a thin layer, and let it sit overnight, and it turns into this it's almost like a phosphoric coating almost. So kind of turns kind of black with like a dusting of white on it. And then you just kind of wipe that off and clean it, and it's a super hard surface, and then you can paint it. So why I'm bringing this up is, the last video I made these little guys, and there's some rust. It's not so bad on that side, but this side is pretty pitted. I think this car sat with an open window in a field for 5 years or something, and it just absorbed into the carpet. This is kind of what the Bronco looked like, because those have rubber mats, and so the floors kind of look like this. So I mean, it's double thick, so it's not really structural, and I'm going to cover that up with a plate, but I want to protect it underneath. So, and I'll probably put some inside there too. And while I'm at it, I'm going to fill this up, right, because this just had some surface rust in there. Nothing to worry about, but that'll be an easier place to see the outcome of it. So highly recommend this stuff. It works pretty good, but it's very toxic. It's don't play with it, don't drink it, don't get it in your hands. Wear all your PPE, safety third is my normal motto, but in this case I think safety first is much more appropriate. Okay, so this stuff sat overnight and did its thing, I guess. Turn icky rust into icky black rust. So now this should all be nice and dry, and I can put some welter primer on there, and then I can obviously I gotta TIG weld this around here, and then that weld is gonna stick up a little bit, and I'm gonna have to chamfer this a little bit to get it set on the floor flat, yada yada yada, minor stuff. But then, I can weld those floor plates in. I did order a pedal assembly, because that's how I roll. Well, I need to mount the pedals on that A-pillar bar, and I don't want to put the A-pillar bar in there and get that all welded in and then go, oh, now I got a weld standing on my head. So I'm going to get that pedal assembly scienced out. It's a reverse mount pedal assembly, which kind of cleans up. Now all my pedal master cylinders and shit aren't sitting out here. I got 1,000 holes in this firewall that I need to get rid of. Heater's not going to be in there, fan blower, like all this stuff's going to go away. So I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but I have a feeling this whole bulge is going to disappear. Okay, so put a little bit of shape to this driver's side floor plate. And by shape, I mean mangle it a bit in my hydraulic press. But I got it to fit pretty good to the floor here. So that shouldn't be a problem under the carpet. Need a little bit more whittling on it, but I think I might be able to weld it in place and then tap, tap, tap and get it even better. It's really good at the bottom, and there's a little bit of a gap up here. But I think as soon as this is welded, I can just kind of heat that up and tap, tap, tap. So I just need to weld the pipe back on the back. So it looks like that. This is all tigged up. Probably can't see it too good, but funny thing about Sharpie. Alright, so these guys are all done, ready to spark in there. Got a little bit of, shape to it. In the morning I'm gonna have to start welding, so I thought I'd do some test pieces. So this is a piece of original floor. It's got the same latex house paint on it, whatever. undercoating. Doing a little bit of outgassing there. Neat. So anyway, trying to get my technique down and my welder set up appropriately for it. This is my first test piece, which was just basically direct spots. You can't really do a continuous weld because it's thin material, but that didn't look that great to me, so I changed my technique. And basically what I did is I started my weld here, and then I moved down and then back up, finished it there, and then moved over, started here, down, back up, because I don't want to put too much heat into this floor because it's pretty thin. So that looks like a pretty nice setting and technique, better than this. This is no good. There we go. And this one looks like it has better penetration through the floor than this one does. So I think all in all that setting is going to work. Alright, so I cut this guy in half through the weld that I liked, and then kind of sanded the edge smooth so you can see what that penetration looks like. Pretty good. I've seen laser welds that are worse than that, honestly. And I think that's what we're going to go with. If you have any comments on what I did wrong or right, please put them in the boop boop there. Thanks for watching. If you like this content and want more, subscribe, like, and share.